Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the ColdFusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community. Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition. It is November 29th, and it's been a great week, Thanksgiving and all that in the US. You guys had some fun, Dan?
I did. It was fun. We ended up having a Friendsgiving with a bunch of my son's friends. So basically, it was like 4 families and a bunch of 6 and 7-year-olds running around. It was good. It was a good time.
Cool. Yeah, no, we had some fun too. Some good food, some good shopping. And remember, if you guys bought a lot of stuff on Amazon like I did, you can return it up till January 31st. So don't open it right away. Make sure you still want it. And I'll be returning some of the stuff, but I got it just in case. So, and there's a couple more deals still going right now, but yeah, it's a good time for most of the stuff, right?
It's good to have a window for buyer's remorse, you know, and the ability to just kind of like drive down the street to Whole Foods and give it back.
Oh, you can do that, huh? I don't think we have any Whole Foods here. We just take them to Kohl's.
That's right.
But Kohl's will
well, there you go. Yeah, Kohl's does as well. You know, it's funny. Anyway, I'm turning into a Whole Foods fan. Not so much for the grocery shopping, that's fine, but just they have a hot bar and they have food. It's really kind of nice.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I still laugh though, like some of the deals. Like I got something last year before Thanksgiving. It was one of those hard drives, the little teeny tiny ones, SSD hard drives for portable. And I think I paid like $160 for it. And right now, Black Friday special, half price, it's from $599 down to $300 or $250 or something.
Gosh.
So it's still $100 more than I paid for it when it wasn't on special. But they just inflate crap like crazy.
Well, price it 3 times and then say it's half off. That's always good.
So I don't know if it's never been at the full MSRP, but it's just pretty funny. Mm-hmm. So anyway, thanks everybody for joining us. Hope you guys had fun there. And yeah, we'll be up and go on. I just saw someone said there's some buffering issues. Maybe shut it down and start it again. It looks like our speed is okay on our side, but don't know. So
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I got better internet, so it should be better. So
it also could be mine. So basically, Gavin will look great, and I'll be like,
yeah, for sure. So again, if those don't know us, I'm Gavin Pickens, Senior Developer for Ortus Solutions, and I'm joined by Dan Card, another Senior Developer at Ortus Solutions. So thanks for joining us. And to get started, we'll thank our sponsors. And so Ortus Solutions, the makers of ColdBox, CommandBox, ForgeBox, TestBox, and all your other favorite boxes out there. And there's a few ways you can say thank you back to Ortus for the podcast. And you want to give us a list?
For example, you can listen and subscribe to our videos on YouTube. You can help Ortus, what we say, reach for the stars. Basically, star and fork the repos that we have on GitHub. There also is a ForgeBox command box module that you can use called Command Box GitHub. Basically, what it'll do is it'll go through all your projects and it'll star the Ortus projects that are in your dependencies. So a little self-serving, but it's there as an advertising thing. Subscribe to the podcast on your podcast app. Leave us a review. You can sign up for a free or a paid account on CFCasts, which is releasing content every week. There's also a Box Life store. So if you ever really felt this need to kind of walk around with box merch, you can get that there. Basically, that's at ortussolutions.com/about-us or about-us/shop. And also we have a number of books for sale on Gumroad, which is gum.co/ColdBox tips. The biggest one is the 102 ColdBox HMVC quick tips and tricks.
Yep.
I guess we do have other books, maybe not on Gumroad, but if you go to the store on the website, we do have a couple, and I think they're at Amazon.
Yep, we have some there as well. Yep, for sure. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to keep them all in one place, but this is the newest one, I think. But the Modern CFML is getting a revisit. It's getting revised, and so we'll have a new version of that out here soon too.
It's Modern CFML.
Yeah. And the GitHub stars thing, it doesn't just help the ColdBox products or this stuff. Anything in your box dependency list will get starred. So if you got other things from other people, like CFML spreadsheet or stuff like that from other contributors, they'll get stars too, and they'll like them as well.
Cool.
But we also want to thank our Patreon supporters.
That's a good question. Do the contributors need to have the GitHub repo in their box.json file?
No. Well, in the box.json, probably actually. That probably would have to be listed. That's probably how it does it. Yeah. good point.
Just want to throw that out there for any kind of creators. If you want your stuff starred by this module, make sure that your GitHub URL is actually set up correctly.
Yeah, good point. So we also want to thank our Patreon supporters, which we'll do properly at the end of the show. We have 43 patrons right now providing 100% of the funding for this Modernize or Die podcast and the other podcasts. And it's cool that you guys are supporting us and being able to do this podcast through that. And you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/AutoSolutions. And we're halfway through, or almost halfway through our second goal. So all the hosting of ForgeBox.io and all those things, it's just... basically, every bill that we get for S3 traffic and storage and everything else, all those things, we're almost halfway there funded by our Patreon. So we really appreciate our Patreons. Speaking of Patreons, we got a new Patreon-sponsored job announcement, which those who listened the last couple of weeks would have heard it. But Tomorrow's Guides, so they're a pretty cool company. You want to tell us a little bit about them, Dan?
I do, as a matter of fact. Tomorrow's Guides is the fast-paced leader in the UK care sector, catering for care seekers across 3 areas: care homes, nurseries, and home care. We are often called the trip advisors of the care center. So if you're looking for, I'm guessing nanny, elder care, child care, that's the spot to go.
Yep.
All right,
so
Tomorrow's Guides.
Yep. So they have 2 positions available right now. We'll tell you a bit more in the job section, but they're looking for a senior CF developer and an automation test engineer, both in the UK only, remote, and they're permanent positions. Okay. So let's get moving with our news and announcements. So last podcast, 2 weeks ago, because we had a week off for Thanksgiving. If you missed it, we had Kai Koenig on here as a special guest, and he announced CFCamp 2023 officially on the podcast. It was pretty cool. So Dan,
it is really cool.
Some details?
I do. I'm sorry. I'm looking at this. I guess some of the guys that are watching are having clipping issues, and I was trying to figure out what was going on. So 2 weeks ago, Kai Koenig came on with a special guest, the last episode with the background and the announcement about CFCamp. The basic thing is CFCamp is happening again. For those of you that don't know what it is a ColdFusion conference that happens in Germany. The last time was several years ago, but obviously, with COVID and everything else, it took a couple years hiatus. But it's coming up June 22nd and 23rd. It's in Freising, Germany, and the website is cfcamp.org.
Very cool. Okay. Sorry about the audio.
I forget. The call for speakers is coming soon, or is it open already?
No, the call for speakers for CFCamp will be announced after the new year. So that's their goal.
Cool.
Into the Box is open already, which we'll tell you about soon. But
that's true.
The Adobe ColdFusion Fortuna Alpha release is out. You can sign up for the pre-release. We have a link here, but the last time I checked it, it was actually bad. I'm going to send it just in case.
Oh, I actually used it right before we went on the air, so I think it should be good.
Oh, maybe because I'm already in it, or maybe, I'm not sure.
That could be.
So if you guys want to join the pre-release, go find out more about Fortuna, which is code name for the new release, which will be 2023. So
I still think we should have played the Karma Burana behind anything having to do with Fortuna.
I know. With the audio issues we're having, or might be having,
exactly.
Sure.
It wouldn't go well with it. Good point.
Well, the thing is, it looks like the stream health is good. I adjusted our volumes a little bit, so hopefully it's doing better. It looks like it's outputting, just not the great version. I'm not sure. So anyway, we'll have to just keep going, and we'll see what's up here. Okay, so next up, we also have the ColdBox Master Class. So, Dan, have you actually taken this Master Class?
I have actually not taken it formally, but about 2 weeks ago, I was running into a thing on ColdBox and actually started going through it and basically binge watched almost all of it. I still have about 4 or 5 more to go. But it was amazing, actually. So someone who basically self-taught, like I taught myself ColdBox and then picked up from just using it. It's interesting how going back into a class like that really kind of smooths out gaps in your knowledge, if that makes any sense. So even if you use ColdBox before, it definitely is worth going back and looking at. The basic thing here is want to learn more about modern web apps in ColdFusion. We have our ColdBox Master Class for free until the end of the year. A gift to the community so we can all build amazing apps together. Watch all the videos, can binge code. And it goes into everything from testing to setting up an API to doing views if you want to use the actual ColdBox as your site, or setting up as just an API with a different front end. It really is pretty cool. So that's on CFCasts, and it's for free. It's the ColdBox Master Class. There's a whole section you can browse through.
Very cool. Okay. So next up, we have the new releases and updates. And while over the break, we actually had a 5.3.10 beta release, but also a full release. So Lucy's released a 5.3.10. So basically, the most exciting feature they said, which will make everyone's life better, deploying Lucy servers. It's still experimental, but native support for CFconfig. So it's kind of cool that they're doing more with CFconfig, and I know they have their own kind of like little configuration tool, but they're trying to get it all working a little better with that. So it's kind of nice. So very cool. So I'm going to share the link here if you guys want to find out more about it. And we had a couple of tweets from Brad as well, which we'll talk about in the blogs and tweets section, where he was talking about a lot of the stuff they're doing. Some of it made it out to 5.3.10 and a lot of security vulnerability library updates and stuff like that. And the 5.4, which they're working on, will be a big one to knock out basically all the vulnerable libraries that were found in Lucy. So anything that might be possibly vulnerable, for government stuff, it's a big deal. So they've been working hard on that. It's really cool to see. So nice. And then we had another one too, right, Dan? Just in case someone missed it.
We do. In case you missed it, spreadsheets CFML. Which basically is their CF spreadsheet, obviously, for the Adobe ColdFusion, but that doesn't necessarily port over into the Lucy. And this is a great add-on for either one, no matter what you're using. But it's called Spreadsheet CFML version 3.7.0 is released. Has a new option to read visible and format instead of just raw values. Which is very cool. Okay, it's actually formatting stuff, not just raw values. Looks like James filed a bug for the Adobe CF 2021 version. He's posted a number of different bugs in the last month or so. But the website for that is github.com/CFSimplicity, CFSimplicity/spreadsheet-CFML.
Yep. So links already in the chat for those watching, and the show notes already too. So, okay. Well, next up, we have some webinars and workshops. And the first thing I want to do is just share the Google Calendar for the Ortus events. We're trying to keep that up to date and make it easy for you guys to see them on your Google Calendar. So, of course, it's one character too long. So there we go.
One character too long?
When I posted it into the chat.
You posted it into the chat. Gotcha.
Yeah, super long link. I should make a short link for it. But we also have, this week, we have the Ortus Office Hours. And so this is a new initiative where some Ortusians will be on a Zoom call to answer questions that people have. Really loosely structured, just sort of a general just chit chat. And then if you guys got questions about certain things, we can do that. And we have the next one coming up this week, right, Dan?
Do actually, it is on Friday, I believe. Today's the 9th. Yeah, on Friday at 11 o'clock Central, so noon Eastern. It's the first Friday of every month. First Friday of every month, and this week Daniel Garcia is going to be hosting a variety of Ortus people, officers' questions and requests. So yeah, come on and join in. Even if you have it like on a lunch break or have it playing in the background, you can either basically ask questions or just lurk. And sometimes it's amazing how many people can answer questions that you didn't know you had. Like you didn't know it was a thing until it was a thing, and then you're like, oh, I got that.
Yep, for sure. Yep, and again, sorry for the buffering issues. It sounds like if people are rewinding it and watching it sounding okay, so it might be a YouTube buffer issue. I'm not sure, but I am going to be posting the recording on YouTube as well as the normal audio thing from the local recording, so we shouldn't have these issues. So again, apologies everybody, but we'll keep plugging. The Ortus Software Craftsmanship Book Club is going to be next Friday, so Friday the 9th at 2 p.m. Central or 12 noon Pacific time. So that's every second Friday of the month. And we're working on the Clean Code, the Handbook of Agile Software Craftsmanship by Uncle Bob or Robert Martin. And so the next one, we're going to be talking about naming conventions, which there's a lot of naming convention stuff. So we're going to be going over that one in detail. We'll probably start moving faster as we go through the rest of the chapters, but I think that one will be it'll be an interesting conversation with people's different opinions and everything. So I'm looking forward to that. So we do meet monthly, and if you guys are in the Ortus community and you're a Patreon, you can see this link. If you're not a Patreon, or you're not a Patreon on that community forum, let us know so we can tag you. But it's going to be that's where we post all the updates and all the little messages about it, and that's where the Zoom link is there too. So we'll be doing the conversion of the Java to CFML as we go through the book too, so we'll have better ColdFusion examples for the book. So I'm excited about that. The last one was a smaller number because it was on Veterans Day, but we still had a good conversation. It was really, really fun. So I enjoyed it, and the people in there enjoyed it. So hopefully you guys can join us for the next one. And if you're not a Patreon, join up at patreon.com/AutoSolutions. And that's one of those, the perks is being able to come see the live streams like this. So just so you know.
Even if you can't make the Patreon, the book is actually really good. So there's a link to the book. I'm just pasting into the chat now. A little tiny thing on Amazon, or there's an audible.com version as well. Yep.
Yeah, I really like it. It's just makes you think, and it's as long as you take it positively and take what you want from it, you get a lot out of it, I think. Just it's nice to do that, and that's why we have the Ortus coding conventions too, for people to share and work together on. So it'd be very cool. So
now, Gavin, I have a question for you, because it has there's the book club for the Patreons, and then there's the office hours. Because it sounds like I think is Ortus trying to do a thing now where we're doing something every Friday?
Yep, basically every Friday. So Ortus Office Hours is the first Monday of the month. The second Friday. First Friday of the month is Ortus Office Hours. The second Friday is going to be the Patreon only book club. Then the third one is going to be the webinar, which we'll be announcing the webinar very soon for this month. And then the fourth week, usually, but with Thanksgiving and then Christmas, the Coding with a Kiwi gets bumped. But so that'll be that one. And then if we have a fifth week, it might just be a bonus, or maybe let you have some time off. We'll see. But we might just do a lunch and learn, as Daniel Garcia likes to call them. So we just hang out, have lunch. But that's the plan, is to try and give something every Friday. And right now we're trying 2 different times to try and meet time zones, but we might consolidate them. We'll see how it goes.
One more question that came out of the chat is, will the book club conversations be posted on CFCast later? I know it's for Patreons only now.
Yes,
but is it?
And they have been. So the first one is already up there if you guys want to go check it out.
Okay.
Yep. So it's already up there on CFCast. So very cool.
I have it on good authority. Yes, they will be.
Yep. And then so next up we have some that you might have missed. And so you want to tell us a little bit about the first one?
I do. In case you missed it, the MidMichigan ColdFusion Users Group. Nick Kwiatkowski is presenting on APIs in ColdFusion. Now that was in the future tense. It actually happened the 15th. The basic description is Nick is going to show how he builds REST endpoints using native ColdFusion and Lucy REST endpoint connector. He's also planning on doing a deep dive into Postman and showing all its features. Both of those topics are very good. It's amazing. I just started using Postman. Daniel Garcia is a really huge advocate of it, and just started using it more recently. And it's a very good tool. But yes, the recording will be on the group. He's on the group YouTube channel. Again,
which I just put
the link in the chat. Yep.
Yep. So and then we also had a meetup, the CFHawaii meetup, and I had the link somewhere. I can't find it right now. So if John, if you're in the chat, please just Slack me a message with that link and we'll get it up there. But Brad Wood spoke for the CFHawaii meetup about managing all your ColdFusion servers with command box. So we'll get the link in the show notes. It's not here right now because I couldn't find it this morning, and I'm in a rush trying to get everything else ready. So sorry about that. But
would it be on the group meeting page, you think?
I tried, but the meetup's having errors too. So I don't know if there's some bigger outage which is causing issues with all of our problems. So see if Meetup is having technical issues right now too. So I don't know.
Gotcha.
Or maybe it's me. But yeah. So
cool.
Yeah. So if you guys out in the chat, we understand. Watch it later. Sorry guys. And then
it's all good.
And then coming up here in a couple of weeks, we also have the ColdFusion security training, writing secure CFML with Pete Freitag from Foundeo. That's going to be Tuesday, December 13th, 2022, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Wednesday, and 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. On Tuesday, the 13th, and Wednesday, the 14th, between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. Eastern times. So 6-hour total, split up over 2 days, so people can sort of work around it. But
if you ever.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I took a day-long seminar with Pete a couple years ago at Admin of the Box, and it was very good. way that he describes it, basically, it's a hands-on CFML ColdFusion security training class for developers. Learn how to identify and fix security vulnerabilities in your ColdFusion and CFML applications. The class is recorded, so if you cannot attend it fully online, you'll have access to the recording. As Gavin mentioned, it's 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday. It's taught by Pete. It is $9.99. If you're a student, it actually is $8.99. I'm sorry, it's $9.99 full price. There's an early bird discount, which I'm not quite sure when that's done, for $8.99. Or it definitely is worth doing.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great class. I've taken it before. Really good. So glad to see Pete's doing that one again.
Yeah. Go to your boss, basically say it's his security conference. And then when he says no, or she says no, ask him, why do you hate security? That doesn't play well. So you'd rather have him, basically remind him that you don't want the headline that your website got hacked because you wanted to spend, save a couple bucks.
Yep. Next up, CFCast content. So go to CFCast.com and you can find lots of great content. We try and provide free and paid content almost every week. So what are the recent releases been?
So recent releases, the ColdBox Master Class, it's on there. Like I said, it's now free. There's actually, I should have just told David Levin, Dave Levin could have just waited a little bit later in the podcast. The Ortus Software Craftsman Book Club, Clean Code 1, is actually up there as well. The live one is for Patreons, but it will be on CFCast a little bit later. Don't take that as an excuse not to be a Patreon. Support.
No, we want you guys to be excited about what we're covering, so you can come join the conversation. Because I think half the value is in the conversation. Listening to it's good,
exactly,
but being there.
There's also a whole series that Gavin has clipped together from past podcasts, which basically is the ForgeBox module of the week. There's one new video since last time we chatted, but pretty much that's on an ongoing release, and also the VS Code hint. Good grief. The VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week series. So if you ever miss those, you want to go back and just kind of get caught up on some of that stuff. It's there as a series unto itself. You don't have to watch the whole podcast.
Yep, for sure. So lots of great stuff there. And then we have more coming soon. As we mentioned, Dan just mentioned, we have more ForgeBox and VS Code stuff coming. And then as we get closer, we're almost in December, which means we'll be releasing the ITB videos for all those who are not ITB ticket holders. So I know a lot of people have been waiting and asking. So we'll be releasing all those in December. We're going to be doing the 12 Days of Christmas, but I don't think we're going to wait till the real 12 Days of Christmas because I didn't realize the 12 Days of Christmas started from Christmas goes to January 6th. So I think we'll do 12 days up to Christmas or something like that. I'm not sure exactly, but we'll be releasing a bunch of them in December. So during your Christmas break, if you get one, hopefully you guys can watch more videos and learn lots of cool stuff because there was a lot of great content at that conference. And even if you were there, there's still a half of it you didn't see. So
true.
And then I'm working on a boxifying third-party library. Eric's working on Elixir 1 and Daniel working on a Content Box 1. So we'll probably be seeing those in the new year. So hopefully we'll get time to work on them around the Christmas time area as well. And we'll get some of those out to you guys. So looking forward to that. So okay. Whew. Talk about conferences. So the first one that we should really talk about is CF Summit Online, which has already started. So all the speakers from Adobe's ColdFusion Summit are going to basically be bringing their sessions straight to your screen. So I know we already had a couple. I know Charlie and Nickel already did their sessions, and David Tattersall is going to be, I think he did his last week on the 22nd. So we've already missed a few, but there's a few more coming, and looks like in the next week we have 4. I can't believe that. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, there's a bunch coming up. So Brad Wood is tomorrow from 12 to 1 Eastern. He's talking about message queues with RabbitMQ. I don't know much about queues, so actually I'm looking forward to that. But that's he's talking about basically kind of setting up so there's like asynchronous stuff can actually work on tasks and projects and stuff, and it's a way of actually lining up and queuing it. I'm not sure of all the details, but I will by 1:00 tomorrow. There's also a 1-hour workshop, build a complete development, deployment pipeline, and production environment for your code. It basically gets into CI development. That's by David Byers, and that is on December 1st, which is on Thursday, at 3:00 in the afternoon. So 1,500 hours Eastern time.
Yep. And then we have Terrence Ryan talking about Google Cloud for the ColdFusion community. And then we have Pete Freitag taming the top 25 most dangerous software weaknesses, which sounds scary and awesome at the same time. Thanks, Pete. He'll be on December the 6th from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock Eastern. And Terrence Ryan's is on the 2nd. So this is this Friday, I think, from 12 to 1 Eastern. So lots of great content. And that's just the next week. So there's a lot more in December and January. I stole your line.
No, it's all good. I was going to say, because I think Daniel Garcia still has this in January. And obviously, there's more.
Myself and Luis will be doing ours later in probably January as well. So
okay, cool. This is good because I wasn't able to get out there. So I'm glad to be able to kind of obviously see all these and everything else.
The website for the CF Online Summit is cfsummit-online.meetus.adobeevents.com, which is in the chat. So
there you go.
Okay, so in case you missed it, we got Deploy from DigitalOcean, and that was happening last week, and so it looked pretty cool. I didn't get to watch a lot of it. I had a lot of client work that I was busy on trying to get stuff out.
I registered, but I couldn't see it.
Yeah, so that was the week before actually. But yeah, it's a lot of cool stuff. DigitalOcean's doing a lot of great things, and I really do like how simple they make everything to do. AWS has a lot more, flexibility, but with flexibility comes complexity, and so DigitalOcean's pretty cool. So I do like that. It's a great way to get started with that stuff, and then you can go to AWS when you want to really fine tune and dive deeper into every little thing because you can.
Being flexible is very good, but it also makes it very easy to break things. So So that was deploy.digitalocean.com. So I think they have their sessions available for you guys to watch. It was a free conference. So something else coming up very, very soon, Daniel. Yes, next Wednesday, December 7th, 2022. Into the Box Latam. It's next week on December 7th. It's a one-day seminar from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. There's 2 tracks, one set of sessions, and one set of a real deep dive workshop sessions. The pricing ranges from $9 to $29. That's US dollars. It's at the Hyatt Centric in Las Cascadas Shopping Center in Murillo La Libertad, 99999 El Salvador. I'm not sure how the addresses work, but I'm hopefully someone that made more sense than it did to me. Basically, it's a one-day conference that is actually being done in Spanish. So we'll have then that content is also going to be on CFCasts later on. So we have a wider variety of audience there, but it's going to be good. I know that that a bunch of the Ortus people are speaking. Melanie's speaking on testing. I think Abilio and Jaime are speaking, but I'm not sure.
I think Esme's doing a headless content box, and she's doing a workshop though. They've actually got a couple of workshops and a couple of sessions that's trying a different format out there. If it works, we might be seeing more of that at Into the Box as well. So kind of cool. Yeah. So
the website for that is latam latam.intothebox.org.
Yep. And we have that link in the show notes and the chat.
And for those of you that are very slow, much like myself, LATAM is a contraction for Latin America. So LATAM.
Very cool. Okay. So next up, we have Vue.js Amsterdam. So you can see there that's a pretty cool website. Lots of big names. You can see Evan on the video and lots of people. It's meant to be the biggest one in Europe or maybe even the world, they say. It's the world's most special and largest Vue conference. Call for papers is open. Blind tickets are available, and you guys can get all the links for that. So it looks like a pretty cool one.
Nice, very cool. Also coming up in April's Dev Nexus. The early bird conference pass is available until November 20th. But check out the website. Maybe it's still going. It's about 40% off the full price.
Yep, I just pulled it up. So right now it looks like $495 for the individual 2-day passes. So it's about $100 off. So maybe just under 20%. So there's still discounts, just not quite as much as there was.
So not as much early bird is just kind of a bird, basically. So that works. That's April 4th to 6th in Atlanta. Do we know if any of our guys are going to that? Probably not yet. Huh?
Well, yeah, we submitted talks. They did have that close a couple weeks back, so no notification yet. But
I think it just closed. The call papers just closed, I guess, at the beginning of or a week ago today. So yeah.
Yep. So it's gonna be fun though. So it'll be
cool. And that's
nice.
being held at the Georgia World Congress Center. That's at 285 Andrew Young International Boulevard, and it's on the 4th to 6th from 9 to 6.
Very cool. Okay, next up we have Vue.js Live in London and the UK, and so it's got a lot of cool stuff here. And the dates on this one I keep having to change them, so it's the 12th and the 15th, and basically I think the 12th is in person, the 15th the repeat one for those online. So just check it out. Lots of great videos from previous years as well. So I highly recommend that one. So if you're looking for early bird tickets, jump on it soon. And again, they do have stuff in London and online. So, but yeah,
that Vue.js Live isn't closer to CFCamp. You can like go to London, do some stuff. Go to Germany, do some stuff.
Yep, but it'll be a big flight anyway, because we'd have to fly back from the 12th, 13th, or 14th roughly, and then get back, because May 17th, we've got something else going on, Into the Box, the 10th edition.
Right, yes, I probably should put that on my calendar. Yes. All right, May 17th to 19th next year. The conference is going to be, this is the Into the Box 2023, Ortus's 10th year. This is the 10-year edition. It's going to be held in the Woodlands in Texas. This year we'll continue the tradition of training and offering a pre-conference hands-on training day on the 17th. And our live mariachi band party. We're back to our spring schedule and the beautiful weather in Texas before it gets really hot, I hope. We may have 2 live bands, much more. We're looking about how we can make this a much larger, event. Not much larger.
I'm going to try and make a hackathon after Happy Box and try to add some more stuff in. I'm going to want to play my game that I keep talking about. I've been working on forever. So I want to have like a Box Wars battle, so we can have a little challenge there, so that should be fun. And if you guys are excited about that, then a month later CFCamp is back in Germany, which is amazing. So we're happy to have CFCamp back up and running. So June 22nd and 23rd, and that's in Freising, Germany. And so that's the Munich airport hotel, which is not at the hotel, not at the airport, which confused me, but apparently that's the way it is. But if you check out the site right now, they just have a save the date. So it's the Marriott Hotel, Munich Airport, Freising. Cool. So,
and the call for papers is coming up. The one for Into the Box actually is open now. So if you're interested in speaking, by all means, submit a talk. If you've never spoken at a conference, if you're really interested in kind of maybe the idea of saying, I'm going to pretty much guarantee you probably have something to say. So don't be afraid to actually submit something. It is competitive, but at the same time, throw an idea in there. You never know what's going to happen.
Yep. And then we have a couple more things as well. So if you go to comps.tech, or this other one is a developer conference agenda GitHub repo, there's a ton of conferences there you guys can get ideas from. So lots and lots and lots of conference stuff. But Online CF Summit is happening right now, this week, next week, this month, next month. So check that out. Lots of great sessions coming from there. Okay, so let's get into the blogs, tweets, and videos of the week. And so first up, we have a tweet from Brad Wood. Do you want to tell us about that one?
Yeah, basically what Brad was talking about was that they released the roadmap for 5.4. 5.3, we just said a little while ago, just came out. And this is the whole the roadmap for what's happening.
Yeah, so a big part of it is that those government sites that I was talking about, like a lot of government clients, whatever, and a lot of known vulnerabilities. And one of the next tweets we'll read a little bit later has a list and a ticket, and they've been crossing them off as they've been taking care of them. So that's going to be a big win. When 5.4 comes out, there'll be a lot of that. And so a lot of those libraries will no longer be in Lucy. So basically
everything that they know that has a known vulnerability, they're looking to get that fixed, basically is what it is.
Yep. So that's really cool. And it's nice to see that they're still working on the 5 while they're working on the 6. And I know they did want to try and get 6 released, but not yet. So I know they were wanting to get it out sometime, but they've been trying to get all these regressions done and really clean up security. So hopefully they just keep improving that. Next up, we have a blog from Ben Adele. So this is actually more of a JavaScript one. or where it started, but this is for about event source and generating server sent events in ColdFusion Lucy. So he talks about years ago looking at long polling techniques in ColdFusion, where basically you have a persistent HTTP connection that blocks and waits, and basically this is where you may want to do something like WebSockets or whatever. So he's talking about using event source, and he's never played with it. I've never heard of it. So he put together a little example, and sort of compares. So long polling, that's basically we just keep pinging the server every once in a while. Not a big deal, but this event source stuff sounds interesting.
Yeah, because he talks about how it's not actually classified as long polling. But this isn't WebSockets either. This is sort of its own thing, right?
And that's what I was like wondering, because it's a linked blocking queue in JavaScript. Java. And so I was like, this is really interesting. So he's like basically creating a message queue. So it's not WebSockets, but it's a text event stream. So kind of like an alternative to it. So I thought it was really interesting. And I'm like, I wonder how this compares to using WebSockets. Does it have more resources, less resources? I think he mentions at the bottom that if we scroll down here a bit more.
It also looks like it's over HTTP as opposed to the WS protocol. So maybe there's also a firewall benefit to this by not opening more ports.
Maybe. It might be. That's the thing. It's kind of interesting. I thought it was really interesting I'd never heard of it, and so he tied into that sort of setup. So pretty cool. Now, you want to tell us about the last minute deals that they might be able to get for from Ortus?
I do.
Black Friday
I'm going to
deals.
go back over to my notes here. I was getting wrapped up in the event thing. So basically, Black Friday doesn't just happen at Amazon and in-person sites. We had our own. So make 2023 the year you finally start modernizing your CFML projects with our Black Friday deals. Don't waste any more time trying to find solutions. We got everything you need to rock your projects and learn new skills that will save you time and money while delivering a quality service and make you, better looking too.
Yep, so we got some CFCasts discounts. So 20% off the annual or 50% off the monthly. You can get some tools if you're using Lucy. We got Lucy extensions like the Redis Lucy extension, the Couch-based Lucy extension, the Ortus PDF extension, the MongoDB extension, and then the cloud servers. This one was cool. Did you see? Get your first year for free for Lucy, Windows, and
that looks really cool.
Yeah. So I was like, dang. And then part of the deal, we got Into the Box 2023 blind ticket. So you guys can purchase tickets in advance, save a couple $100 with this blind ticket deal before we've even announced the speakers and the workshops. But it's going to be great. And if you want to be one of those speakers, there's a link right there as well in the blog post.
Again, for those of you that are slow like me, a blind ticket means you're going to buy the ticket. You just don't know who's speaking yet. It's sort of like buying it on faith.
Yep. So that's a new thing. We just figured it out a couple weeks ago too. So. And then the ColdBox Master Class is free, obviously. So the offer ends the 31st. So get in there and get that done as well. So
there's also deals on CFCasts, I think. Half off or something like that on CFCasts.
Yeah, 50% off the monthly. And then there was 20% off the annual.
That's right. Gotcha. Cool.
Yep. So pretty decent. So, and then next up, we have one of those tweets. So this is what Brad was tweeting. I want to share my screen because this was a really good one actually. But so this is talking about the vulnerabilities. So let me share the tweet and then I'll share my screen actually.
Are you sharing it now?
I'm sharing now. So here's a link. So they've been working through a large list of vulnerable libraries found. Decided that 5.3 will fix a huge number of them. And so if you look here on the Lucy site here, you'll see, well, not Lucy site, Jira, but still, you'll see that they're actually knocking off some of these. So, it's kind of cool that they're going through it. And yeah, they're slowly going to be updating and getting through them all. So these ones were fixed in 5.3.10, and hopefully some of these other ones will be updated. Some things are used by different versions of tools like this Common Collections. It's used by Hibernate 3.5, but hopefully with 6 it'll be changed. So it talks about why they're actually listed there too, which is pretty neat. So a lot of them are Jackson Data Bind, some Jetty ones, so different things. So it's kind of nice to see what they are and how critical they are. So that's why they're focusing on the criticals. So Looks like there's a couple of criticals that we couldn't get out because they're in this hibernate, but most of the other criticals here in green were all taken care of in 5.3.10. So that's pretty awesome that they took care of all the criticals they could. There's a couple that are, again, just outside the scope because they're basically, built into hibernate, and we can't just switch willy-nilly with hibernate, that's for sure. So that was a pretty cool little tweet. I like that ticket, and it's nice to see people sharing that. So
nice.
And then next up, we have a SQL keyword checker. You want to tell them about that while I pull it up?
Yeah. So basically, what are the issues you always run into when you're naming things? That was one of the things we mentioned before about what are the two hardest things about coding, naming things. Something else than off by one.
Yeah, cache and validation.
That's what it was cache and validation and off by one errors. But basically naming things, one of the big problems is that sometimes you'll have a new field and you'll have named it one of the SQL reserved words or a ColdFusion reserved words. So Pete Freitag, one of the tools he has up online, is a reserved words checker. And so it's basically you type in just checking, basically saying that this is, is this reserved word someplace? And I go, can run into a problem. And it covers SQL Server, MySQL, Postgres SQL, Oracle, DB2, ANSI SQL, or just kind of general ODBC reserved words.
It's funny that some of these words aren't reserved. Like table's not reserved in 3 of them, but it's reserved in the others. Integer is reserved in all of them but 1. So anyway, you guys can play with that later. But yeah, it'd be nice
Record,
to know.
not reserved in any of them.
Interesting. Yeah, very interesting. Okay.
Users field. Okay.
Yeah.
It's probably generic enough. It doesn't need to be.
Yep. So next up, though, we're going to have Ben Adele, and he's going to be talking about how to use closures inside of threads so you don't lose your place, essentially, which I thought was an interesting thought. So do you have a chance to look at this one? Have you ever messed with threads before, Dan?
Actually, it's really kind of cool. We think a lot of times about separating out our code for reuse. Basically, we talk about use handlers. Then we map things out. We pull them out. We abstract them into models, and then we have a division of logic in certain places. But what he's talking about here is not just a division of logic, like putting business logic someplace, but it's actually focusing very much on the underlying scope of all these things. And I know most of us, we realize we have to var scope stuff. Otherwise, we get into like global variables, and then that's bad and everything else. In this case, it's specifically using a closure to run some code. And basically, he writes the code in a closure, but the whole point of a definition of a closure is a method that you would then use as a variable to pass on to something else. So not only is he writing it in a closure, but the whole way that he runs it is he actually hands off the closure to a whole other function, which then runs it. And that way, it definitely is out of the scope than what he's working on in his regular code flow.
Yeah. And it was interesting because usually when you run a thread, you lose access to everything. You lose access to the application scope. You lose access to like so many different things. And ColdBox does a system
output. You lose access to logging. It makes it very difficult to debug.
Yeah, that's why people hate that. And so that's why in ColdBox we have a lot of work done in all the threading stuff. So everything into that, all the stuff that ColdBox does is to try and help you with that. So it's kind of interesting that, we've basically done all that work. And I'm like, I wonder if using a closure could have helped with a lot of that stuff. I mean, it's pretty interesting. Yeah. So like closures can save your life there. So, because you can hold on to the stuff you need to, but still handle it in a thread. So I hadn't heard anyone doing that. So that's pretty smart. Although Luis is probably doing it under the covers anyway. That's how he does everything. But I just didn't know that.
It's like, I've been doing that since 97. What are you talking about?
Yep. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, this is pretty cool.
And so, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just thinking. There's all these different things. Like you learn different techniques on how to do things. Then you realize that there's so many ripples that come from that and other benefits that you're like, oh, that's why that's important. And then you got to realize who actually coded the underlying code that ran that. Like, we all do our ColdFusion stuff, and there's the guys that do the Java part that it compiles to. Then there's people that actually do it. And I'm like, how do you actually write something that will then keep track of all the different scopes and everything else? And there's some very smart people in the world.
Yep.
Random thoughts. Continue on.
Yep, no problem. So next up, we also have a tweet from James Merberg, and this tweet says, Adobe just flagged this bug with a trivial priority. And this basically asking is anyone using ColdFusion Developer, the alpha, if it made it to the next version, can you upvote it? Because invalid CFML should throw an error. So his bug log that he basically
the title reported, of this is fantastic.
Yeah. I like
it. Says invalid CF script, if else, returns the wrong result. That seems to be big, I would think.
Yeah, especially when the tag-based ones throws an error.
Right. Exactly.
But I've looked, when you look at ifs and else's and ifs, sometimes it's hard to know if the if is actually an if inside or an if alongside. You know, there's some weird stuff, especially when you don't use the curlies. So, yeah. But, so there's no votes right now. I'm logged in. I'll vote for it. There we go.
I'll vote for this. This looks like it probably should be fixed.
Yeah. And so let's see. So let me look at it here. So if A is greater than 50, B equals over, else, so there's not else if, it's just else. So then else, what it's doing then, because there's no curlies, so that's basically else true. And then that should throw an error, you would think, right? Because this here is obviously inside the else.
If A is over 50.
No, it's the fact there's no if right here. So it should be else if. There's no if. Right. So you have to have an if.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So yes.
So otherwise it's else true, and then these curlies just are living here. But then again, if he's running it in try-CF, sometimes it's a bit of an issue. But if you run it on the actual engines that does that, that would be interesting. Because Anyway, so if you do it else,
I'd scroll down the page, but in doing so, I'd scroll down the example, and so there's a script version and a tag version on the example. I'm looking at it like, what are you looking at? But I'm with you now. Yeah, I guess you're right, because it should be else if there's a condition.
Yep.
So technically, it's just ignoring the fact that there's a condition there. So technically, this is else if. Yeah, I see.
So I'm wondering if it shows the under or. Yeah, I'm curious now. I might have to run and see what it does in different things. So anyway.
Right.
So, but the fact that they marked it as trivial was interesting.
Well, I think they probably did, just because it is the wrong syntax. If you're putting a condition there, it should be else if. Yeah. And I think what they're doing is maybe it's trivial to say, oh, if it's CF else, look for a condition and make it act like else.
Yeah. Well, that's always the thing too. Like when someone says it's trivial, it's either really simple or really not simple. You know, like
right, exactly.
Like that's what I always think is funny. So I don't think putting trivial on anything should be used as a way to describe something. Because
good point. Very good point. Oh yeah, it's almost done. Meaning I thought about it in my head for 10 minutes and I figured it out.
Yeah, pretty dang funny for sure.
All right.
Okay, so next up we have find a job. So CFML jobs, we usually recommend using getcfmljobs.com because it'll scrape and pull stuff from all over the place. And since I think a couple of months ago, it's got like 36 different positions now from 22 companies across 20 locations, 5 countries, or something like that. And we got 3 new jobs listed this week. I'll let you try and pronounce them.
ColdFusion application developer at Hyderabad in Telangana, India. I don't know. I don't even know if I butchered that or not. I don't know how to say it.
I'm not sure.
That was so that's actually as of the 24th. So a couple days ago that was posted. Another one, actually full-time ColdFusion application lead, and that's at Noida, Uttar Pradesh in India. And then we also have a full-time application developer in Mumbai. Oh my gosh, sorry, I was on a roll there.
Maharashtra.
Maharashtra?
Yeah.
Yeah. In Mumbai, Maharashtra, in India. And that was posted on the 17th.
I should know my Indian names better after watching so much cricket matches in India, but I still don't know them all very well.
Nope, I hear you. I had Mumbai. I know where that is, but I didn't get the actual. Now, how does that work? There's a city, then there's other states inside India, or is it?
I think they're
like a region?
Provinces. I'm not sure if they're called states or provinces, but yeah, there's definitely regions for sure. But I don't know what they're calling them. So, and when I say watching cricket in India, I mean I watch cricket on TV that's playing.
Yes,
in India.
no,
I haven't been to India yet. So, but we also have a Patreon job
Yeah.
sponsored announcement, as we mentioned earlier. Tomorrow's Guides,
Mhm.
the fast-paced leader in UK care sector, catering for care seekers across lots of areas, care homes, nurseries, and home care. And so they have a pretty big team, and it's 20 individuals across the UK working remotely to basically build up and expand their offering with regular expansion in their teams. And they're looking for some new developers. So they're looking for a ColdFusion 2021 and a Node.js React Azure Cloud person who uses MS SQL and MongoDB databases. So they use some cool stuff. And so they're wanting a senior ColdFusion developer, but they're also looking for an automation tester with training paths towards Node.js as well. So that's cool. Yeah. So you want to tell us a little bit about their perks?
They also offer a wide variety of perks. So basically, from a company-wide 4,000 euro bonus scheme and a quarterly nights out with the whole company, and the product team to a 6% company pension contribution. So
yeah, so they got some got 2 roles there, and we're gonna share the link for the roles in the chat. So the senior CF developer is UK only, remote, permanent, and circa £60,000. Minimum 3 years experience with ColdFusion. They're looking at database design, normalization, and the normalization has an S because that's how they spell it there. And ability to write and understand complex queries using MS SQL Server 2019. Hopefully you're familiar with Git. You got a flexible skill set covering a wide range of development. And they've also got an automation tester.
Now, for those of you that actually are looking for the translation between pounds and dollars, basically it's 60,000 pound. I said euro before, didn't I? That was a mistake. I apologize to everybody that I just offended, but didn't realize it. 60,000 pounds a year is approximately $72,000. Okay. Kind of putting it in little translations. We got automation test engineer. Now you need to live in the UK. That's for both of these. Work remote, but in the UK. That's circa 40K. 40 pounds per year. Minimum 3 years experience with automated testing, experience with automated testing tools such as Selenium, experience with API test tools such as Postman or Fiddler.
There you go, Postman again. But yeah, again,
so if you watch the one, like the thing from Hawaii, learn about Postman, then go apply for this job. Was it Hawaii? Is that where it was, or Michigan?
Michigan was, Michigan. Mid-Michigan.
Michigan was Postman? My bad.
Yeah.
My bad. Oh, yeah. Hawaii's where Brad spoke.
Yep. And then again, they have some really good benefits for both roles. So $4,000 per annum discretionary company bonus, 25 days paid leave, plus bank holidays, which are basically the government holidays. So good number of holidays. 6% employer pension contribution, access to free perks through discounts through PerkBox, which I never heard of, and no, it's not an Ortus product yet.
Through PerkBox.
Long service awards, cycle to work scheme, and a company team light out. So it sounds like a pretty cool place to work. So if you're wanting to check that out, tomorrows.co.uk and jobs.cfm is the file. And then we have some other job links too. So Ortus Solutions is looking for people all the time. We have positions in the US, and now that we're incorporated, we should have some showing up here in the European area as well. So we'll be announcing those as we go.
Ortus Malaga opened up very recently.
Okay, so now is our ForgeBox module of the week, and I think this one's pretty appropriate considering we've already talked a little bit about something relevant. So we're talking about CBQ, and what do these 3 letters mean, Daniel?
So they actually stand for, I'm guessing, either ColdBox or Command Box Q, but it's QUEUE, but we just did the Q because we like abbreviations here. Basically, it's a protocol-based queuing system for ColdBox. A queue connection defines how to connect to a backend service. It's like Redis, RabbitMQ, or a database or something. And it's the idea that you can actually route where these messages go, whether it be the database, whether it be the Redis, or whatever.
Yep. So then we have a queue. So the queue is a named stack of jobs or messages to be delivered, and the queue connection must have at least one queue. So each queue connection has a queue, and then you got a queue provider. So a queue provider is how you actually allow the system for ColdBox to talk to different queues. So we'll be creating queue providers for Redis and RabbitMQ and a database one, and then you guys can obviously build your own. So if you guys are using a different tool for queuing, and maybe like we'll get one for the Amazon queue service, stuff like that, we could create new providers, which we'll have on ForgeBox as well. And the cool thing is that you'll be able to hook up and then use them queues in ColdBox and don't have to worry about how to implement each one. the provider takes care of that. We have an abstraction laying on top of it, so you code for one and it works for all of them. So locally you could use a database, and staging you could use Redis, and then in production you could use RabbitMQ, and it wouldn't matter. So pretty cool. So yeah, I'm going to share my screen real quick because I think like I said, it's really cool. And if you got the ITB videos, if you're a paid ticket holder for ITB, you can get it already. Otherwise, the CBQ talk at Into the Box will be on in December. You better see that. But you can just define some jobs, and then again, we've got a few providers already. So a sync provider, which means basically it happens right away. Then the ColdBox async provider, database provider, and then like I said, we're talking about doing a mock one, a RabbitMQ one, a Redis one, a Couchbase one, and then there's a roadmap here if you want to find out some more. So a lot of cool stuff. Yeah, I'm really excited, and again, really simple settings to start with. So I know a lot of people are really interested in this, and to be honest, we announced that we're building it and that it was in development, and we had a few clients like knocking on our door every 2 days, like, where is it? I need to use it. Where is it? And so they're actually using it already. Eric's been working hard getting the new pieces out there, and we're excited. So yep. So very, very cool. Next up, hints, tips, and tricks. And this one is one that I think might make you smile because it's called In Your Face.
I wouldn't.
So basically, this extension allows you to, basically look at your code, and when you have errors in your code, it will actually show you a face, and it's kind of cool. I'll share my screen for those who are watching, because as you get more errors, the Incredibles-like person changes, and so
it does look like Mr. Incredible, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Maybe after he let himself go a little bit.
Yeah, and so basically, the more errors you have and everything, the worse the face looks, and it just it's just kind of fun. I thought it'd be a good one after the break to come back and have a bit of a laugh. So, In Your Face, and I wonder if you can change the faces or if they'll have more different types, but.
That's true. I wonder if you can maybe connect it to one of those Instagram apps where like morph people's faces and stuff. You can actually put someone in there, like a teacher or a mentor, and as you code things, they just start to express disapproval in your direction. So as extra motivation.
Well, you're like your children's faces when you take away their toys.
Exactly. I'm sorry, we're not going to play with that. Why not? You just threw it at Grandma. Of course, we're not playing with it. All right, sorry. A little flashback there.
So next up. We want to thank our Patreon supporters. And so these are the individuals that are personally sponsoring all of our amazing stuff that we do at Ortus, and we think it's amazing, and so do they. And they're supporting things like CommandBox, ForgeBox, ColdBox, ContentBox, TestBox, and all the other boxes, and helping getting the continuous development they need. And it also funds our cloud infrastructure that ForgeBox and our package management with CommandBox relies on. So they're big things, and they're able to help us with that, and we really appreciate them. And you can get on patreon.com/AutoSolutions to sign up to help. Now, the cool thing is we have the annual memberships. You get to pay the year and save 10%, etc. But there's a bunch of perks, right? So you want to tell us about some of these perks, Dan?
Yeah, these actually are a really good way of doing multiple benefits for both you and for Ortus. So we have a bronze package, which basically, if you a bronze package and up, now get a ForgeBox Pro and a CFCast subscription. ForgeBox Pro is one of the packages where you can have our public packages for ForgeBox, but this is a way that you can actually just kind of keep private ones for either for yourself or for a small group or whatever. That's a perk. All Patreon supporters have a profile badge on the community website, and that's just kind of a way of saying thanks. All Patreon supporters have their own private forum access on the community website, which basically is more a matter of timing. I mean, obviously, the people in Ortus they're on the Slack channels and helping and everything else. Patreon supporter basically just is more of a matter of we'll get to as fast as we can. Patreon supporters have their own private channel across the Box Team Slack so that they can communicate and chat. We also have live stream access to streams like Coding with the Kiwi and Friends, which is one of our Friday things that we talked about, and the Ortus Software Craftsmanship Book Club.
Yep. And so half of the ones on Fridays are free, and then there's a couple of the live stream ones that are sort of paid. But we're looking at that, but we just want to make sure that we say thank you to those who support us themselves. So we really do appreciate them.
Appreciate it.
So since this list is getting long, we're going to have to cut them off starting the new year. But I think maybe I'll attack the top couple and you can take the bottom couple there, Dan, just so we can do it without dying. Because before we could do it in one breath, now it's a mission. So we'll start off by thanking our Patreon. So thanks John Wilson from Synatrix, thanks Tomorrow's Guides, and Jordan Clark. And also want to thank Gary Knight, Mario Rodriguez, Giancarlo Gomez, David Bellinger, Dan Card, that's you, Jeffrey McGee, Dean Maunder, Nolan Irk, Will DeBruin, and Abdul Rahim.
Dr. Yuan, we also want to say a thank you to Don Bellamy, Joseph Lamore, Jonathan Perrette, Jan Yannick, Lakshmi Tirtahadi, Brian I'm so sorry, I apologize, Brian Gidnelli, Carl von Stetten, Jeremy Adams, Didier Lesnicki, Matthew Clemente, Scott Steinbeck from Agri Tracking Systems. Forgot to mention that Brian was from Haggerty Motorsport Reg. Daniel Garcia, Ben Nadell, Richard Herbert, and Brett DeLine.
Yep, and then we've got Kai Koenig, Charlie Earhart, Jason Dagger, Sean Oden, Ross Phillips, Matthew Darby, Edgardo Cabezas, Patrick Flynn, Stephanie Mongi, Kevin Wright, John Wish, Peter Mary, Kavan Vanis, and John Nissim, and Tia. No last name, but Tia. So
no last name needed. She's a single name celebrity.
Well, see, I always got confused because Tia means auntie we're a lot of So down Southern California, we have a lot of Hispanic families, and so everyone's called Tia. Why is everybody called Tia? It's like they're auntie, so they call them. I'm like, oh, yep. New Zealander doesn't get those things that quickly, but yeah.
Similar thing, like you're driving in Germany, and every single exit has the same word on it. My uncle was going through, and he's like, "This is the biggest city I've ever seen in my entire life." It actually meant exit.
Oh,
got it.
That's funny. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Sorry for any of the technical difficulties. It looks like the world's having technical difficulties today, but I'll upload the video as well in case somebody has issues with the other version. We apologize, but we thank everybody for joining us in the chat. And hopefully you guys can watch it later and leave us any comments. And don't forget, Ortus Office Hours this week. And then we've got Brad's online CF Summit talk tomorrow. We got David Bias the day after. Lots of stuff this week. So don't miss out. And you guys have a great week.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Good seeing you.
Bye, everyone. Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernize.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.